to call the Stanley County Board of Commissioners meeting to order for the January 3rd, 2017 meeting. At this time, I would like to welcome the visitors and the citizens that are gathered tonight. We have a good crowd. Looks like we have a good crowd of deputies, and I appreciate you all being here. Appreciate the citizens being here. And at this time, if you would, join me with the invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would bow, please. Father, we do thank you for this, a new year. We know there will be opportunities that our county will be able to move forward. We pray that the decisions we make here each meeting and tonight would be pleasing in your sight. We are imperfect. You are the only perfect. You and Jesus Christ, our Savior. We thank you for your gifts. We thank you for your blessings. These things I pray in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. If you join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If the commissioners would take a minute to look over the agenda and tell me whether or not we have a motion to approve it, or are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay. I have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay. At this time, number one on tonight's list is our co-op extension agent here to request approval for a volunteer ag district. And the presenter is Lori Ivy, our ag extension agent.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and staff. On behalf of the Voluntary Ag District Board, I would like to present to you Wayne Sasser's Voluntary Ag District application. This application was reviewed at their December 14th, 2016 meeting and recommended for approval by commissioners to be included in the Voluntary Ag District. It's 71.2 acres at 29013 Jordan Pond Drive, Albemarle, NC. And you should have the application and a copy of the map of the property in your packet.
Thank you, Ms. Ivy. Are there any questions about this ag district application? Hearing none, do I have a motion that it be approved?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the Ag Center application as presented by Ms. Ivy.
Second.
And we have a motion by Commissioner Louder and a second by Commissioner Burleson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to recognize Sheriff George Burris. He has a recognition he would like to make. Following that, he has two requests that require the board's action.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Appreciate y'all letting us come out tonight and see you. One thing we try to do at the Sheriff's Office is be very proactive, be professional, and have a family atmosphere. And the past several years, it seemed the detention center got overlooked on a lot of awards, and we've got some great personnel down there. And without them running the detention center with the captain, lieutenant, sergeants, we would be in bad shape. But we have great personnel in our detention center. I believe they deserve just as much respect as any administration, detectives, anybody. So we have got 4 detention officers that was up for their intermediate detention officer recognition night, and we have 1 advanced certification for one of our senior detectives. So I'm just going to read off one to save time. We'll read one, and they're going to come up and we'll shake hands, do our thing, then we'll get on to number B if that's okay with y'all. Thank you. Look at these. This Lieutenant Melanie D., she's one of our lieutenants in the detention center. And it says Department of Justice, State of North Carolina Sheriff's Education and Training Standards Commission, by virtue of the authority vested in the laws of the state in recognition of tourist progress and pursuing the training and educational objectives with the role of a professional detention officer and dedicated service to the people of North Carolina, the Attorney General, and the Chairman and members of the North Carolina Sheriff's Association Education and Training Standards Commission hereby award Melanie Dees as intermediate detention officer certification. Congratulations. And our next intermediate will be Sergeant Ray, John Nicholas Ray. Congratulations, Sergeant. Proud of you. Our next one will be Sergeant Erica Howard. And she is really looking forward to getting in front of everybody. Congratulations, Sergeant. Very proud of you. And our next one for attention will be Deborah Tucker. Tucker. Congratulations, Sergeant. Very proud of you. This next certification is a very special one. It takes years of training, years of education, and years of sworn law enforcement certification. They're not given out lightly. This is the highest award you can get in the state for Sheriff's Education Training Standards. So I'm going to read this out. Detective Shute, come forward. This is the North Carolina Sheriff's Education and Training Standard Commission. This is by virtue of the authority vested in by the laws of the state and in recognition of the attainment of training and educational objectives commensurate with the role of professional law enforcement officer and personal devotion and service to the people of North Carolina, the Attorney General, and the Chairman and members of the North Carolina Sheriff's Education and Training Standards Commission through the authority vested in them by the laws of the state, do hereby award Jamie Shue this advanced law enforcement certificate. Congratulations. Mr. Chairman, that's it for the certifications.
Thank you, Sheriff Burris, and thank you, deputies, for a job well done. And thank you for the service that you give our citizens in this county by protecting our citizens. Thank you very much. And Sheriff Burris, are you ready to go with the first item A?
Yes, sir, I'm ready. Ask Detective Miller to come up in case we got any questions. I have to brag on Sergeant George Miller. He's our sergeant in Detective Division. He's put in forth a lot of effort with this grant and done a lot of boots on the ground trying to save the county money and trying to get the county the best equipment you can buy. This grant is 100% matched. All we have to do is say yes, we're willing to front the money, and then once we're accepted by the GCC committee, then they'll reimburse us for all funds. It has been said to us that the grant looks very good, that we'll get it, but we have to have your permission and blessing before they'll say yes. So we came tonight to seek the approval of you on this agenda for the grant and anything it entails.
Thank you, Sheriff Burris. At this time, I would ask, are there any questions regarding the grant that Sheriff Burris has talked about or that you've read about in your book?
Mr. Chairman, just for the public's knowledge, Could you just give a little synopsis of what this is, what this grant's for, the main thing?
Basically, Sergeant Miller knows all the high-tech words, but for me, this is going to help us combat against child pornography that's either social media, internet-related, phone-related, tablets, iPads, anything. We will have the capability to do searches, to do all types of historical information, gathering, intel, and from what our SBI agent has said, if we get this grant with your blessings tonight, the only agency near us that'll have this type of technology is Cabarrus County Sheriff's Office. So to be in the same ranks with them, and the economy they're at and the population, I think this is a huge success, and I owe it to Sergeant Miller because he's the one that got out and looked after this grant, done the paperwork. Something to be very proud of, Commissioner.
Just one other comment. I'd just like to say that I'm glad you're proactive on something like this because you never know when that's going to be a great problem in our county. So you need to be ready for it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say, in reading all the information that the sheriff provided for us, you know, it seems like it's going to move the process along. We're not going to be having to wait for evidence to go through the SBI and come back to us. We're going to be having the equipment that's going to help to make the case. It's going to be a real time saver for the county.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing no other questions, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve the grant, the application for the grant.
Second.
Commissioner McIntyre, a motion, second by Commissioner Burleson. Any other questions? Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Swain.
and this may be for you, and I spoke with Ms. King about it yesterday. This is contingent on getting the grant, right?
Yes, before the GCC will say yes, y'all have to say yes.
Okay.
And once you say yes, if something happens, we're 99% sure we're going to get it, but I can't tell you 100. If we don't, then the money just stays in fund balance or wherever you wish to take it from.
Okay.
It will not be spent or removed.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, this may be something for the county manager, but should this motion be contingent? Do we need to make a contingent on that?
The way the motion was stated was a little different than how it was worded in your agenda packet. And I think the way the motion was stated was to approve the application. And so by approving the application, you're not allocating any funding. And I think you could approve the application and approve the budget amendment contingent on the Governor's Crime Commission approving the grant. So I think if you took a step two in your motion would be to approve the budget amendment contingent on the Governor's Crime Commission giving approval to the grant, because then we wouldn't have to come back to you and do the budget amendment if we got the grant award letter.
Okay.
It's okay with me if they add that to the motion.
Okay.
As long as y'all got it in a minute, right? Got that?
Very good.
Yes, so Commissioner McIntyre amended his motion to read this contingent upon the state.
Yeah, the motion would be for the minutes. The motion would be to approve the application, submission of the application, and to approve the budget amendment contingent on the Governor's Crime Commission funding that grant application.
Okay. So Commissioner McIntyre made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Burleson. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Sheriff.
Commissioner, we've got this number C. Sergeant Miller can explain a little bit about that. I think it's self-explanatory. I think the last time we did the Equal Employment Opportunity Program was in 2003, so they just say we just need to update and vote yes that we're on board with that, and then we're in good shape. Is that pretty much it? It's a requirement by federal government.
Okay, this is a request that the board reaffirm the Equal Employment Opportunity Program.
Mr. Chairman, is that something that should be updated periodically every 5 years or something anyway?
We had most likely have as part of some of the utility grants, but we just felt like this is a new grant, just go ahead and put it on the agenda and have the board approve it. So it's like you've already done this as part of a Greater Baden or a Water and Sewer Authority, but since we haven't really applied for any grants for the utilities fund in a while, we thought let's just go, and that would be more under the county policy versus the Greater Baden or the Water and Sewer Authority. So we just felt to be safe, let's just go ahead and approve it. Yes and no is the answer to your question. I think you've seen it. It's just not necessarily been as this body. It may have been as the Water and Sewer Authority or as the Greater Baden Water and Sewer District.
Thank you. Is there a motion that we reaffirm?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we reaffirm the Equal Employment Opportunity Program.
Second. Okay, Commissioner Burleson made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Swain. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Carries 7-0. At this time, I would like to recognize Andy Lucas, our county manager, for board and committee appointments.
Chairman, I just want to say thank y'all so much. Thank you. I appreciate the support and the leaders that you are for our county and the sheriff's office. It means a lot to have a great work relationship with you guys. A lot of sheriffs don't have what I do with y'all. So I just want to say humbly thank you for your support, and to Andy and Jenny for always being there for me. It means a lot. So thank y'all and have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Mr. Lucas.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, members of the board. The first item is the Transportation Advisory Board. There are several appointments that you've made to that where the individuals have changed. I would recommend that you actually, when you take action on this item tonight, that you appoint the individuals by position and not by name. That way, if names change, we don't have to do this again a month from now, 6 months from now, whatever it may be within the term. So the town administrator for Locust, the superintendent for the Stanley County Schools, there is a general public, so that one actually would be by name appointment. And also the one that's not listed down here but is noted in the agenda packet is the town administrator for Norwood. It's listed as Brian Bowles, and John Mullis currently serves in that capacity. So I would ask the board to consider approving the town administrator of Locust, which is Cesar Correa, the superintendent of schools, which is currently Bill Josie, Gary Lewis, general public, and that position is currently vacant, and then town administrator for town of Norwood, which is currently John Mullis. Those terms will be from January of 17 through December of 18. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for County Manager Lucas?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Burleson.
I'd like to, I move that we appoint the position of the Locust Town Administrator, the Norwood Town Administrator, and the individual that is the Superintendent for Stanley County Schools. And I'll do the final one in a second motion.
Okay, we have a motion that we appoint the members by their town location or Stanley County School Superintendent. Is there a second to this motion?
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
Commissioner Eford, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Commissioner Burleson.
I move that we appoint Gary Lewis in the final vacant position.
Okay, Commissioner Vice Chairman Burleson made a motion for Gary Lewis. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Eford seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. County Manager Lucas, would you like to talk about the Water and Sewer Authority?
Yes, sir. Be more than happy to, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You have information in your agenda packet. There are actually 4 terms that are expiring. One expired actually in December, and then 3 terms Mr. Smith's term expired in December, and Mr. Smith has actually sent us a letter of resignation today from that board due to health concerns. And so we certainly wish him well. He's been a very good member of that board. From my understanding, he's been very diligent in his service and as attendance. Mr. Rigsby, his term expires this month, Mr. Morton, and Mr. Blaylock. And my understanding is all those members have been diligent about their attendance and seem to be good members of that board. And Donna has asked for consideration for those three to be reappointed. And I believe you have a couple, you have at least one in your packet, and I believe that Tyler sent you another name and application for consideration earlier today. So you have two individuals that have applied that could potentially serve in Mr. Smith's position. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Okay, is there any questions regarding what County Commissioner Lucas stated? Is there any additional nominations for
Mr.
the?
Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Lyle.
First, I'd like to thank Mr. Gary Smith for his service. He has served on the Water and Sewer Authority since 2011, and I know all of us and the citizens of Stanly County appreciate his outstanding service and his commitment to that board. I'd like to now make a motion to appoint Mr. Curtis Spur, Mr. Bill Rigsby, Mr. Josh Morton, and Mr. Terry Blaylock to serve on the Water and Sewer Authority.
Commissioner Louder made a motion. Curtis Smith, Curtis Spur, Bill Rigsby, Josh Morton, Terry Blaylock. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second by Vice Chairman Burleson. Are there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this slate, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries 6-1. Before we get off this topic, I do have an email from Gareth Smith addressed to the board, and he said he would like to thank our board for giving him the honor to serve on the Water and Sewer Board since 2011. It's been great working with the board and Mrs. Davis to bring water and sewer to the people of Stanly County. But because of health issues in his family, he cannot continue to serve. Again, I echo what Commissioner Louder said. We appreciate Mr. Smith's service to our county and to the Water and Sewer Board. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to recognize our County Commissioner Andy Lucas for EDC organizational and governance discussion.
You did. I don't want that
You
role.
ran.
I don't want that role. Oh, thank you.
Excuse me, our county manager.
Thank you. I don't believe so. The next organization, or next item on the agenda is really just I wanted to put this item on the agenda so the board could have some discussions to give staff really some guidance. We actually have, based on the EDC's meeting, posted the position of Economic Development Director, but really wanted to try to get the board engaged in some discussions. I know I've heard from some of them that feel like maybe we don't need to, that the EDC needs to be arranged differently, that it doesn't need to be appointed by the Board of County Commissioners and sort of operate as a county department, that it needs to be independent and maybe a private nonprofit. And so I wanted to just put that out there and let the board discuss it. And really this will help if we do move forward with the, obviously we've posted for the position, but that doesn't mean we have to necessarily interview anyone, but we want to get that process started. But it would help as we go through that interview process, if that's what what we elect to do, that we kind of have an idea of where the board board stand so that we can be transparent and open with whatever any candidates that may apply for that position. At this point, we've only had one individual apply for that position that's actually an application been submitted. So we're hoping that additional resumes and applications will be sent in by candidates. But part of it may be that they're waiting to kind of see what this board is going to do in terms of a governance and an organizational structure. So I just wanted to open up to the board and just see what guidance you may be able to provide staff as we move forward. And I'll be happy to answer any questions about the organization and the session laws that have been created to put the EDC in place at this point in time.
Thank you, County Manager Lucas. I open the floor for discussion as Manager Lucas just stated.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Swain.
I think I attended the last EDC meeting and kind of threw out some of these ideas that maybe brought up this topic of conversation. I am for a restructuring of some sorts, and I don't have all the answers to that, and I made clear that at the EDC board I did not have all the answers to that, but I was open to options and I wanted to explore some options. One of the options I had looked into and researched quite a bit was a public-private type partnership between the municipalities, the county, and an independent nonprofit EDC board. There were some questions raised after that as to how that functions, and a lot of that would have to be worked out by us, but that was kind of where I left it at that point. If maybe that'll help spur some conversation between us.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Eager.
I'm certainly open for discussion on that, and Commissioner Swain, I've talked to him a little bit about it. I would like to see this board proceed in the job posting and be as transparent as we can with the new EDC director, and I would love to have that conversation and maybe some more details, maybe at our budget retreat or something. But with budgets coming on, and I know Andy's doing a fantastic job. I just don't want to stretch him too thin in what we're doing with EDC for him. But I think it's a great idea. I know several counties around us do that, and I would love to hear some discussion on that.
Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Vice Chair Burleson.
I'd echo what Commissioner Swain and Commissioner Eford just said. I think when we came into the reorganization of this board, it was an opportunity with some fresh ideas and a chance to revamp our EDC. I haven't been satisfied with our EDC in the last several years, and I think that we can do better. Those thoughts were, early on, and I thought, at some point we could discuss the reorganization of the EDC and possibly hold off on hiring the director for some time. We did have, Andy was kind of wearing several hats already, but we did have some help there in the EDC office, but that help is no longer there, the assistant in the EDC office. So, I'm beginning to think that we do need to move forward with filling the position, and as Commissioner Eford stated, maybe continue to have these conversations. I don't have all the answers, but I do believe that the current structure and what we've been doing hasn't been working. We need to we need to discuss this thing in depth, and I think take our time and not make any haste decisions.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I did send each of you an email. I assume y'all got it. That I don't disagree with what's being said. I think that this current format of the EDC has probably evolved into something different than it was set out to be. the director of the EDC works for the EDC board, and it kind of evolved into our county manager supervising that director, and that's not the way it was set up. That should have been whoever happens to be chairman of the board, EDC, and that board should be supervising him. I think this board should be a working board. I think that the members, you've got 4 in each section of the county, and they should be visiting current businesses and just talking to them. And I know that, you know, they don't know everything to talk to people about like a director would, but just to make a presence and say, you know, we've got this EDC board, and we'd like to know what you do and what are your needs. And if we can help in any way, if you to expand, if that's what you want to do, or if you don't want to, then that's fine. But just to let the businesses know that we've got folks that want to help the county too, that we've got a board that does that. I strongly believe that before we hire a director, we agree that we do need to have some format. You don't want to hire a director and he thinks he's going to come in here and it's going to be like it has been, and then we've changed it, and that person might not fit that format. So it just seems to me that we would make our change if we're going to make it, and then really look hard for a person that fits that mold. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to say that one of the EDC board members at the last meeting, just as soon as we opened the discussion about it, and we have an EDC board member here tonight, thank you for coming, and the first thing he said is we've got to identify the roadblock, the obstacles, what it is that we're not doing and that we need to do. And that discussion just mushroomed. And we started talking about a lot of things and a lot of questions that were unanswered. But one thing that's not been touched on, and I know that we commissioners have received some information from the public, private, and the private EDCs in the region and benchmark of other counties, but we've not talked about the funding, and the funding is a part of that, no matter which direction we go. So to me, I think we've got to give the county manager some relief. His job is big. It is enormous, and he has done a lot. As for visits, I know that some of the EDC board members have volunteered and have gone on some visits to the existing businesses. That board needs to do more, maybe, in some people's eyes. In others, I think they're fulfilling their responsibilities to the citizens with their attendance, with their active conversations and discussions. They're taking their appointment to the board quite seriously. There's a wealth of knowledge on that board. This is a great big step for this county to take. And I don't know the right step, and I don't know that any one commissioner does. I think we are all willing to listen. So I would say to any citizen, if you know the answer or you have a suggestion, bring it to us. It's on us. But come and share your thoughts and your ideas, just like Matthew did with the EDC board. And I appreciate him doing that. That's my only comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Louder. I'd like to get permission to turn the gavel over to the Vice Chair so I can speak my mind on this.
He gonna take it.
Take it over now.
Look, get that back.
Vice Chair Burleson, I would like to speak to the matter.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. There's all kinds of ways to do a EDC, and with our EDC board or our EDC department, it is now a department of the county. We do have an independent board, but I don't think until recently they were aware that they could hire and fire the EDC director. And I want to echo, I mean, there's lots of counties surrounding Stanley County that are public-private, not just public. And those boards are funded by companies and individuals and the county and cities and towns within the county they operate. And depending upon the funding, in most cases, depends on how many board of directors, where they come from. I'm kind of like Commissioner Louder. I think we really need to find out if it's a public-private EDC, we need to find out what companies, what towns, what cities are willing to participate financially, because it's an ongoing financial commitment. And until we get that, I don't think we can even think about making a change to a public-private. And I'll be the first to admit, I think I would prefer that we be a public-private EDC rather than a county department. Saying that, I mean, that didn't answer any questions, but that's a very important factor. We've got to find out who's committed if we are to change it to a public-private EDC department. Thank you.
Are there any other questions, comments?
I'd just like to tag on, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Commissioner Louder.
I agree with everything he said, and I'd also add, you know, if it would become a public-private, you've also got to think about the distribution of the authority, you know, and the representation on that governing board. You know, and if the county has the higher percentage of it, then certainly the control should still lie within the county. If you don't have the financial resources out there in the different sectors that Chairman Lawhon pointed out, and that would also include maybe nonprofits, then why are we having the conversation? You know, we've got to get some answers to those questions before we can ask all the remaining questions. And that's my position about it. And I do know that there's one county currently who has been in a partnership with their EDC, and they're actually thinking about coming back out of it and it being a department of government again. And that's it. Thank you. I've said enough.
Thank you, Commissioner Louder. Any other comments?
Mr. Vice Chair, I agree that there's several unanswered questions. I think we've made that clear. What I want to do is do just like Chairman Lawhon said, put this out to the municipalities, put this out, see if they're willing to support it, and seeing if we can come. Because to me, economic development shouldn't be the job, the totality of our job for the 7 members that sit here. You know, the municipalities can participate in that just as much because they want those businesses in their towns too. But right now, as it sits, we control all the seats on that board, to my knowledge, correct? And they have no skin in that game, I guess is the term that I would use. But that's why I brought this up, was to make it more of a whole county type system. Yes, we would have to look at redoing the board. We would have to look at the distribution of authority on that board. How those members get appointed would even have to be addressed. But we need to start addressing it, and now's a good time. I do agree that we need to hire a director because it's a lot for one person to do 2 jobs down here. But that's just kind of where I would leave it. I think we need to keep going and keep addressing this issue through the work session and things like that. But let's start getting that feedback from municipalities. And I don't know the best way to do that. Do we need to do a motion to go to them or joint meeting? I don't know what we need to do at this point, but I want to continue this conversation.
Thank you, Commissioner Swain.
Mr. Vice
Commissioner Morgan.
I just like to say, At first, I was against hiring a new director right now until we get this figured out. I think if we are going to hire a director now, that director needs to be open and contingent upon us that things may change. I think it's fair to them, because I'd hate to hire a new director and then all of a sudden we change something and then we're back to square one, having to look all over again. So I think that needs to be up front with the applicants at that time. Also, like, I agree with Commissioner Swain about the changes, possibly going private. But I also think we need to speak with Albemarle as well, obviously with their EDC board. You know, maybe we can save money by combining or working together somehow. I think that needs to be looked at, possibly, just with transparency between them, as well as the other municipalities. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Louder.
Thank you. And I agree with all this, but let's go ahead and let's say we're talking about cities or the municipalities. And if you look at some of the counties, you know, within the region that have these partnerships, it's also their community college. It's also their public school system. And it's not just the businesses, but sometimes, as I mentioned before, it's the nonprofit. So, you know, there's a big pool out there. Now, whether or not you can catch any fish from it, I don't know. But let's keep the pool big and do our due diligence with it. Thank you.
I just have one more.
Commissioner Morgan.
They were going back and forth. No, but also if we are, as far as the EDC director goes, even if we decide to hold off on a director, can find somebody to help Andy as far as an interim, I think that could be an option too, until we get things figured out. And then once we have everything figured out, then go out and find a director that meets what we're looking for. I think could be an option as well. Just
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. McIntyre. Commissioner McIntyre.
I think that I agree with Commissioner Morgan that we definitely need to go ahead and look for an interim to come in and help us out and help Andy out. Would be very important. And I will go back, and I know I said that we need to hire before we need to decide our format before we hire, but I would imagine with so many different formats out there that there's probably quite a few county EDC directors that have worked in both settings. So